Tom, is your captioning coming off of Zoom?
Yeah, yep, it comes off of Zoom. It was a little button that I found that I just started using it, and the kids in the class really enjoyed it because, as I'm talking, they could kind of get caught up on things if they miss something, and just run through in the screens. And oddly enough, it's really sensitive. So people will be talking in the back of the room, and it's picking them up. Now, most of the time, it gets it right, but there are some occasional faux pas that it gets. But for what it is, just runs off PowerPoint. So pretty cool.
Oh, it's on PowerPoint, not on
Yeah, it's on
Zoom.
PowerPoint. Oh, it's on PowerPoint itself.
Oh,
So
it's on PowerPoint itself.
yeah, yeah. Good. All right. Now we'll go. All right, everybody, welcome to the July monthly member meeting for Bernard C. Astronomical Society. It's been a while since I've been here because last month I was at Green Bank, where I got a chance to see Bob again and hear him talk about solar eclipses coming up. And so it felt like it's a pretty good topic for us, especially since we got one coming up in October and then the big one again next year. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Bob. Let me stop sharing my screen. And while Bob's pulling up his, can you see if you can share yours? All right, just a second. There we go. Hang on.
Hey, okay.
All right, just let me, for some reason, mine stop sharing. All right, now we're gonna send Bob over.
Yeah, I think because I am, you can't.
All right, I think we've got you good. See if I can do something with our member list. All right, you have the helm. This is Bob Anderson. As I mentioned in the email, he was at Green Bank for a while, running the telescope. And so, as I said, I've seen him now twice because I've been to Green Bank twice, and he gave a talk last year as well. And he always has some really fun things to say about the sun and some solar imaging, some solar energy imaging. And so, without further ado, this is Mr. Bob Anderson. So, Bob, after you. Thank you.
Okay. A little bit more about me. I grew up in Chattanooga, met my wife, and we married. She's also a Chattanooga native. And you may hear a cat meowing in the background every now and then. It's rather annoying, but right now she's quiet. I worked for TVA. I graduated from UTC and went to work for TVA for 24 years and worked in power plants, worked at Sequoia, worked up in Rogersville, Tennessee, and also in Memphis. And saw this opportunity to come to the Green Bank Observatory as chief telescope engineer. And I convinced my wife to come up here, and I moved from a very stressful job to one that was not quite as stressful, but and really more fulfilling to me. So I've been an amateur astronomer probably close to 60 years, going out and looking at the sky. And I became a member of the Barnard Astronomical Society in 1970. And actually, in the early 80s, the president of the Barnard Seifert, I can't remember his name at the time, he was in Chattanooga, and he came to a club meeting and talked for a little while about the Barnard Seifert Society. And then I was over in Nashville with TVA and stopped in during your meeting and talked about the Barnard Society. So I've been there once before. In 89, we moved to East Tennessee. I became a member of the Bays Mountain Astronomy Club and met Mike Benson. And we both left that area about the same time. He went to Nashville and I went to Memphis. So there's a little bit of a connection here. I became interested in solar observing at the Bays Mountain Club, and they had a nice telescope with a hydrogen alpha filter. And if you've ever seen the sun through a hydrogen alpha filter, it is amazing. You see changes in a matter of minutes. And with the cycle approaching maximum in the next couple of years, there's a lot of activity on the sun. There's the potential tomorrow for geomagnetic storms due to a big flare that was launched on Monday. And you can just see the kind of interaction that happens. In the last eclipse, I was telling Ralph before everybody else got on, I was a member of a citizen science project called Citizen Kate. And we were given a bunch of equipment that we got to keep. And we were supposed to image the solar corona during totality. And there were 68 stations across the United States. There were only 3 that did not get data. And those 3 were right there in the Nashville area because it clouded up. And so the image that you see on the screen right now is one that I took, and you can see the corona. You think, well, we have satellites in orbit now. They can put a disk over the sun and image the corona. And that's really good for the outer reaches of the corona, but the area out to about 1 or 2 solar radii is only visible during a total solar eclipse, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. And so there's a scurry of activity to try to capture this. You can see a prominence right here, and then the corona around it here. This is the polar region, southern polar region, and the northern polar region. And so you can take these images, and we were sponsored by the National Solar Observatory and a host of others like Daystar Filters that gave us a good bit of equipment too. And so there's a lot that you can do during an eclipse that really is still cutting edge if you can get images particularly of the corona. So Ralph and I were talking before, and this is a map of 2 upcoming eclipses. This one that starts at the upper left and travels to the lower center is the annular eclipse in October of this year. And then the one that starts at the lower center and progresses across and goes out to the upper right is the total eclipse. And if you can see my pointer, here's Nashville, Tennessee, right here. Okay, so you're just outside the path of totality, and it won't take much for you to travel to be in it. There are a number of different sources of information. Probably some of the very best that I've found is the April edition of Sky and Telescope from this year. It has a big article about the upcoming eclipse, the total eclipse, and prospects for weather as well. NASA has a lot of information. That map that I just showed you comes from Solar Eclipses Through the Eyes of NASA, and they have a very good website. And I learned a lot from the Eclipsophile website, weather information, stuff that I had never considered. And even though part of my job is here at Green Bank was to keep track of the weather and schedule activities that were weather dependent, and then worked with the scientists to schedule the science observations as well. So there's a lot of weather information there. It is non-technical, and it's very good to know, even if there's no eclipse coming. Okay, and then specifically for observing and photographing an eclipse, Fred Espernak, who's, I guess he's retired now too from NASA, has a website called Mr. Eclipse. And that's a very good one. There's information there about if you're into trying to take pictures of it, exposure times, ISO settings, and aperture settings as well for the different parts of the corona and the partial phases as well. So NASA, and then eclipsophile for the weather, and observing and photography at Mystery Eclipse. So the paths, Ralph and I were just talking about this before the rest of y'all came on. There's a section west of San Antonio where the paths of these two eclipses cross. And so the one in October goes from lower left to upper right, and it around 12:30 to well, actually right before 12, 11:50 to 11:55, it goes across Texas there. And then the total eclipse is just after lunch in that area, in the hill country of Texas. And of course, the hill country is very pretty and interesting in its own right. And then you're going to throw a billion people in trying to see these eclipses there. It should be interesting. There is a company called Explore Scientific. They're a telescope supply house like Orion, and they are sponsoring 2 expeditions, one in October and another in April, to this area. They have rented a ranch, and you can go camping there. They are saying they're going to have porta potties and security, which in that part might be something to think about as well. Okay, start planning now. You're late already. So determine how far you're willing to travel. Look at weather histories, find lodging, and figure out what gear you want to take. Now, I said here, they know you're coming already. Well, chambers of commerce, campground associations, and local schools all know about this, and they're trying to get the word out. Ralph was just saying that he found somebody down there in Texas that knew nothing about it, and so he got them educated on that pretty quickly. You also need to figure out what kind of gear you're going to take, and then you need to make an observing and a photography plan. Okay, so for the annular eclipse, from where you are, it's probably a long day, maybe 10, 12 hours to get down to that area from Nashville. You could fly, but that gets kind of complicated. You can drive further into New Mexico where the weather prospects may be better, and make your own plan for that. This annular eclipse is only at best 90% coverage. There's been some that were much better as being closer to total, but there's going to be a ring around the moon of bright solar surface, and you have to have filters or eclipse glasses to be able to watch it. The total eclipse there in Nashville will be about 95%, maybe a little bit better. And then, but there's better weather areas west of Little Rock that you should consider as well. And then I always emphasize, particularly if you're taking your spouse or family members with you, is to look for other points of interest that, particularly may be of interest to them along your way or near your destination. Okay, so the next bullet that I had was looking at weather histories. That April issue is a good summary of that. The Eclipsophile website has a whole lot more information, specifically on cloud cover and storm passages. And this is mostly for me. October and April are a blend of summer and winter weather. You have to be ready for each. The further south you go, it's going to be warm, particularly if you go down to Texas or Arkansas. The further north you go, you may even encounter snow. And up here in the mountains of West Virginia, we've had snow and heavy snow, like 6 inches of snow in May in my 20 years here. And then even in June, we've had snow flurries. So that's just something that the further north you go, the more likely you're to encounter the remnants of winter up there. Ralph and I were talking about being mobile and being ready to move based on the weather that you're having at the moment just before eclipse. So for October, here's the pattern on average over the past 20 years, and this is available there at that Eclipsophile weather side. If you remember your rotations of weather systems, the winds are always clockwise around a high pressure area and counterclockwise around a low pressure area. And so you have two areas of high pressure dominating the United States with some areas of lows in here. This red path shows the path of the annular eclipse in October. So this is a 20-year summary of cloud coverage. It's best down in Texas. It gets better the further west you go. Blue is low clouds, and then 100% is the red at the top. And you can see that there's no red areas here in this area in October, which is good. Okay, so I threw this in that past performance does not guarantee future results. And the Weather Service even says that forecasts beyond 48 hours have diminishing accuracy. And in my career, I found that to be very true. So on eclipse days, don't worry about historic data. Look at what the forecasters are saying for your locale that morning, and then be mobile as well. This is the path across the United States for the total eclipse in April. You can see here's Nashville right here, and the path of totality passes through Arkansas, and then Illinois, Indiana, across Ohio, and then New York, and ultimately goes out to sea over Canada. And again, the further north you go, the worse the weather is going to be. Also, you have to look at the storm paths. This is an average for April, 20-year average again. This blue line is the path that most Alberta clippers take. The Gulf Stream, Hadrous, low type storms start in the Gulf of Mexico and then go up the coast. And then there's another one that's not talked about too much, but it's the Colorado low. And these paths go across, that's this dark line that goes across here. And then this light purple line is the eclipse track of the total eclipse in April. So you can see that does the same thing. Now here's a low pressure area that's moved, it's more significant historically, and its circulation is going to be like this, and the high over here is going to be clockwise, and so you can expect that moisture is going to be pulled up out of the Gulf of California across the United States and impact this historically. So it's not just, cloud coverage is actually watching out for storms as well. Okay, so here's the cloud coverage historic data. Blue again is good, red is bad, and you can see the further north you go, the more red you get. So, and then Nashville's kind of a salmon color. That color represents about 60% cloud coverage on average. The green is around 40%, and then blue is around 20%. Okay, so then for Texas and Arkansas, you can see that there's an area of blue down around Fredericksburg, I guess is the big city there, Leakey. Uvalde is down here further to the south. And then Waco is right here in the middle of the path of totality as well. So all this is around the bluish green is 40 to 50% cloud coverage on average historically. The further north you go, you still wind up around 50%. But then once you get further north, you're up into the 60 and 70% historic cloud coverage. North of Nashville, it gets worse quickly across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. You can see that this is up around 70% historically. But look up here, just on the south side of Lake Erie. There's an area of blue there, or light blue, about 40%. So there is a phenomenon that the lake actually blocks clouds unless there's a low pressure system coming across and dumping lots of lake effect snow across there. But there's an area that has pretty good prospects right around Cleveland, Ohio, if you have family and you just want to go that way. From Nashville, I would really recommend going west of Little Rock. That's 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours from you guys. I've been from Memphis over that way, but I've not been from Nashville over that way. But I'd say probably 6 hours would get you over into some good range of weather probabilities. You know, like Petit Jean or Petit Jean State Park, I guess the French would say. That looked like a good area. Okay, fun lodging. Prices have already increased. Availability is already tightening. But there's still opportunities. There may be additional restrictions, particularly on chain hotels, such as 3-night minimums and restrictions on cancellation. You may not be able to get a refund. For example, based on the 2017 eclipse, a lot of people may just try to pull over alongside the road, and that's always risky, but and it can also be crowded. So it's best to get off the interstates and main highways and get out in someplace and observe if you want to try to do that. Ralph and I were talking that, and he's experienced this actually, that as people find out about the eclipse, they may cancel your reservation and give it to somebody that's willing to pay more. So be very careful with who you book and know what you're getting into, and take a look at that. So Sky and Telescope in particular, and I haven't looked at Astronomy Magazine, but Sky and Tel is offering some expeditions that you book with them, and they provide some astronomers or even some of their writers to go along with you and give information and talk. There's an eclipse cruise. I know of 2 that are off of the coast of Mexico, and you can look in the back of the magazine and see their offerings, or go to their website and do that. I was originally going to go over in Arkansas, and I was looking at campgrounds and pulling my camper, and I found that Explore Scientific is also offering this area that they're renting a ranch. It's dry camping, it's called. There's no hookups or electricity. You got to bring a generator and water and supplies and stuff, but they are providing food vendors and porta potties and security. So I give a website for them there. It's explorescientific.com. So again, you can, and these type of expeditions are very unlikely to get canceled or have price increases, although the price may go up the longer you wait and get closer to the time of the event. Okay, moving on, selecting your gear. If you're traveling by car long distance, you may want to keep that to a minimum. Of course, us amateur astronomers like to take our telescopes and do a bunch of other stuff. You're going to have filters for the partial phases for all of the annular eclipse, as well as the partial phases of the total eclipse. So if you have eclipse glasses left over from 2017, pull them out, go outside, hold them up and look for pinholes or lighter areas in the mylar on those. Don't take a chance, throw them away and get new ones. There's a company called Rainbow Symphony that has good quality ones. You can check them out. There's others, I'm sure Orion and some of these others have glasses as well. You also want to cover your camera lenses and your telescope and make sure that they are in good working order. Inspect them the same way. You may want to be able to, and some people have dedicated solar telescopes. You may also want to take along an observing telescope for some of these dark sky areas. Okay. When I go out at night, I have a list of objects that I'm going to look for. Solar observers should do the same. Most of you have probably seen the 2017 eclipse. If you haven't and you're going to try to take pictures, don't be too dedicated and obsessive with that, aggressive. Enjoy the eclipse. This is a 4-minute totality phase, and so there's lots of time to get some pictures, even with just an iPhone. But if you have a DSLR camera, you can put it on a tripod and take some wide-angle photos of it. You can look and see what stars are going to be available through various apps. There's apps for your phone like Sky Safari that you can actually whip out and look and identify stars that you're going to see during the eclipse. If you're on the center line, this one will be about 4 minutes. If you recall, the 2017 eclipse was about 2 minutes, just over 2. So a word of warning, I was actually near Spring City, Tennessee for the 2017, and we had a big group, and a couple had to be at work on the next day, and so they left right after the eclipse. It took them until about 8 a.m. the next morning before they actually got home, and then they had to go into work. So traffic is horrendous on the day of an eclipse. It's best not to try to travel at all that day, but wait till the next day or even the day after that to be able to leave and get back home. Plan to enjoy it. You'll have to travel around the world to see it, and or live to 2040 here in the United States to be able to see it. You may wind up being the subject matter expert on eclipses and solar observing, and you should point this effects out to people that you're with. The air temperature drops as it gets darker quickly. Birds will light and get quiet. I have not seen the shadow bands. Some people may have, and may be able to talk about that a little bit. And the best way I understand it is to lay out a white sheet and look for them on that. Bailey's beads and the diamond ring effect are the ones that people really get good images of. And this next one sounds silly, but a lot of people fail to take their eclipse glasses off and have to be reminded, take your eclipse glasses off when totality starts. And the same thing with filters that you may have on your camera or your telescope. Take a picture or video of your group as totality begins. If you were with a group of people, you probably heard screams of delight, gasp of amazement as this happened. And it's just worthwhile to, for memory's sake, to remember with a video or something. You can point out prominences on the sun's limb as well as the corona. And then there are stars and planets that you'll be able to see as the astronomer in the group, you should keep an eye on the clock or set a timer or something so that you know when to warn people to put their glasses and filters back on when it gets close to the end of totality. Okay, for photography, mount your camera on a tripod or your telescope. Get some quick photos if this is your first one. If you've had some experience, you know, you can dedicate a little more time to doing it during this eclipse. The ones that, you know, make it into the magazines and on the websites usually have some sort of foreground objects or people in the photo, not just of the moon and the sun itself. You can go out and experiment with the full moon. We did that on the Citizen Kate project. We were required to take pictures and send them in for analysis to make sure the focus was correct and that we had a good means of doing that. And then the moon phases are about as bright as some of the totality phases. And I mentioned this before, that Fred Espernak, Mr. Eclipse, has a good table for camera settings and exposure times. And his advice too, though, even though you follow the table, is to bracket your exposures, you know, a stop below and a stop above. You can also, with a lot of Photoshop type software, GIMP and others, you can create a high dynamic range image, HDRI, and this would allow you to get not just the inner portion of the corona, but also the outer areas as well to make a huge, very effective photo. All that's processed afterwards, but you have to take the individual exposures at different settings during the eclipse. Again, at some point, Ralph may want to say something about having to change your plans, be ready for weather, and, you know, crowds may have an effect as well. Watch the weather forecast. I use Astrospherics. That is a phone app that you can download, Astrospherics. Also, local radar will show you some stuff as well. And just be aware of the weather and go from there. If I am successful, this will be my third total eclipse and my third annular eclipse. So the first annular I saw was in 1984. Our club chartered a bus and we loaded our telescopes on it and we drove to Atlanta and set up at a fire station out in Fulton County. And CNN was down at the park downtown interviewing people, and they sent a CNN headline news crew to where we were. Somehow or another, they knew that we were going to be there and interviewed us, and we were on CNN headline news for that one. That one was about 99.99% total, but you still had to wear glasses or a filter. You could not look at it directly. And then another annular was in 1994. We were at the Texas Star Party and we drove westward into New Mexico and set up, and the clouds interfered and we had to drive further westward along the path to get to it. And we were just along the side of the road. So just be aware that things happen like that. I saw the 98 eclipse from a cruise ship. My wife and I had a really good time. That was a sky and telescope tour. They had the writers and some scientists on board that and had talks during the day and other cruise type activities for the eclipse. So those are fun to do. And then in 2017, you know, the whole United States saw that one, I think. So they are very exciting. I would also encourage you, Tom mentioned that I'd given other talks on solar observing. It is fascinating. I haven't given up on the night sky, but I certainly enjoy being able to go out and look at the sun and just simply sketch it and observe what I see. Most amateurs have a solar filter that they'll put on their telescope and look and see the sunspots and show to others and say that's nice and move on. But it can really be enjoyable as far as a phase of the hobby that everybody can enjoy. So, Tom, I don't know if you're going to allow questions or if you have other stuff that you need to do.
Yeah, we can. I was say we can go ahead and do some questions if you got time.
Yeah.
Well, first, thank you, Bob, for your wonderful talk. Anybody have any questions?
I think that all of the Arkansas state parks are gone
Oh, are they?
because they allowed a year-out reservations.
Gotcha.
Texas is 5 months out.
So they haven't even started yet.
I had a conversation with some folks on the Informal Eclipse education group today. We fully expect that site to crash. Yeah.
Where are you planning to go, Bob?
I'm going to go to that to the Texas Hill Country with that Explore Scientific expedition. They charge for that. You can go to their website and see what that is. And that one is, as far as weather goes, and being with a group of other like-minded amateur astronomers and other people, I thought was pretty neat. Before that, I was planning on going to Pettigene State Park over in Arkansas. I think that the weather prospects there are probably pretty good up in the mountains. You're closer to some big cities there, and like Little Rock, and it might get kind of crowded. I think they are already in their reservation window for like the campground and the lodging. So again, you should make plans if you're planning to travel and do that.
Yeah, it's always pretty important. I remember for the 2017 eclipse, I have family in the southeast portion of Missouri, and it looked like their weather odds were going to be a little bit better than ours in Nashville. And so I drove up to where they're at, and that night they just completely clouded over. And I was like, oh no. So I got up and early in the morning and drove back to Nashville, and it apparently clouded over here, but I lived northwest of town at the time, and I had perfect view. So I got lucky. I was not one of the three that did not get the data. I did not, but that's kind of a bummer with the Citizen Kate thing, but I know that a lot of good research came out of that. Do you know if they're doing a Citizen Kate in this time around or for 2014?
On a smaller scale. The principal investigator is no longer with the National Solar Observatory, and they have not gained funding. That's called, the project that they're going to do this time is the Dynamic Broadband Solar Eclipse, something like that. And they're going to use a little bit different equipment and broadcast in real time images of the eclipse. And so it's a much smaller scale. It's more educational and less scientific, I think. So it's the Dynamic Broadband. I'll have to look it up. But if you look at Dynamic Solar Eclipse, I think you'll probably find them. And I think some of the people from the Citizen Kate project are involved in that, but it's on a lesser scale than what we did.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. One last question for me. Are you planning on photographing this one, and do you use DSLR, or do you attach something to scope for these?
Well, the Citizen Cape project gave us a 60 millimeter, no, yeah, 80 millimeter f5 telescope that we got to keep. A white light solar filter go over the front, a monochrome camera, laptop, and other gear, and I'll use it to photograph the both the annular and the total, and then use that. I do have a DSLR. I'm still in the learning phases with it, and probably shoot some photos with it, but um, it is amazing how fast time speeds up during an eclipse. And it's just, yeah, you can have a few. None of us are probably going to do anything science worthy per se, but just to have something for memories and share with others is worthwhile. So yeah, I'm going to take some pictures, but
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Well, again, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a couple of comments.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
I was in Austin about a month ago, and all the chain hotels are all sold out. So that's that'll tell you where things are going in Texas. I did want to say, Bob, that I really liked your uh, encouragement to video your group. Or just on a lark during the last eclipse that we had in Nashville, I put a video recorder out in front of the group that I was with and just turned it on right before the eclipse. And that's our favorite film to watch because everybody gets so excited, especially the new people that have never seen an eclipse, and they just love to watch that little short video over and over again. So I would say that's a real fun thing to do. The third thing I would say that I always put on my list, if you're in a flat place, on a big flat plane, you can, and you're right around the center line, you can get this effect of a 360-degree sunset. And that's a really fascinating phenomenon to see, but people won't notice it unless you point it out. So you might want to add that to your list. That's just a couple of things. I really enjoyed your talk. Thanks a lot, Bob.
yeah, that's a good suggestion and where we were was out in the middle of Wattsbar Lake, and you could see, the shadow coming across the water, and then after it went across, you could see it eastward of us as well. And so, yeah, that was a neat phenomenon.
Yeah, it's all exciting stuff coming up. So, well, Bob, well, thank you again for your time. We'll go ahead and let you off the hook here. Once again, can we say thank you to Bob?
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoy doing these. I've given a couple. Well, as you said, it's StarQuest. I also did one for the Astronomical League on their AL Live presentation. I did that one a year ago after last year's StarQuest on just solar observing. And I really encourage people to take a little more time, dig into it a little bit, and learn more. The Astronomical League has a lot of information about solar observing. There's one that's just called the sun spotters, which is white light filters. And then the one that also is the hydrogen alpha. And you can learn a lot about our sun and how to observe it, and then see things change in just minutes. It's unlike anything else in astronomy. You can see, like Jupiter, you can see things change there fairly quickly. You can see asteroids fly by and catch those when you get good predictions. But the sun, day in and day out, is something that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, maybe next time we get you to talk, we'll have you come and chat about that, because the sun is the evil nemesis to our astrophotography, along with the moon, right? But as fickle as night sky observing can be, right? That sun, 24, 12 hours a day, right? Like it's there. And so it lends to, all right, well, it's 9 a.m. A little cloudy. We'll see what happens in 2-3 hours, right? And so it's
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity to observe it and stuff. And so, but that's another topic for another occasion. Well, thank you, Bob. Have a
Okay.
great, and we'll catch up later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. So let's see if I can get my screen going. Oh, that's a plus. That's there. Catch my Zoom. Pull it from all the way over there. Wrong way. There we go. All right, those of you on Zoom, can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Awesome,
Yeah.
good deal. All right, well then we're set up and ready. So again, thank you everybody for coming today. That was a great talk concerning some really cool things coming up in the sky. I've been trying to put like, things that are upcoming, like pictures that are poignant to the time of year, like, a green one when it was St. Patrick's Day, like a nice little star picture over there. This is a picture from timeanddate.com of the annular here in Nashville. And that's how much we're actually going to be getting to see of the eclipse here in Nashville itself. So, still pretty cool. I'll probably have a camera on it. And as Bob had said, if you're planning on observing anything outside of totality, make sure you have glasses and whatnot. And I brought some little kind of card solar observing things that you can just hold up, and they have a little hole in there with a lanyard.
Take credit for that. When we started planning for doing 100,000 viewers for students in Kentucky, between myself and the gentleman I was working for up there, we talked about it. And the thing about glasses is they don't fit on kids' faces. And what are they going to do with them when they're not looking through them? They're going to put them under their seat. They're going to sit on them, whatever. So we thought, what if we get that and have a hole put in it? And we talked to the glasses manufacturers, and Rainbow Symphony were the ones who said, yes, we will do that for you. The one other person would not do that because they were too afraid people would look through the hole. We said, we're going to put them on a lanyard. There's going to be a thing in that hole. So stop worrying about that, but okay. And Rainbow Symphony liked that idea so much that those have holes. So you can put it on a lanyard and put it around your neck. It's easy to keep track of.
Yeah.
2 cents.
So
From Tennessee, Kentucky.
So as we're talking about the eclipse, right, like make sure safety is taken, right? If you remember 2017, some potentially sketchy glasses were sold out from Amazon. Make sure that you are acquiring from a good vendor, right? I believe some of these like Sky and Telescope and astronomy.com, like they have like buy from these reputable dealers, right? And so they're trying to figure out a way to regulate those a little bit more, because we don't want people, losing their eyesight or having a permanent tattoo on the back of their eyeball. These are the cards they sent me. I think I got 50 of them for free. So there's a stack of them over there if you feel like, taking a look at the sun. We don't have to have just eclipses to look through these things. And so it's pretty cool. Like you can just go out and take a look. I was showing it to my daughter the other day, and she was pretty wild about it. I had to make sure that she knew not to look through the little hole, right? But you can see it any time of day, and if you've never really looked at the sun just through a filter, it's about the size of the moon, and you can see little spots on it if they're big enough. And so it's pretty cool to kind of go out there and do that, so you can kind of see what to expect on the eclipse days and things like that. So a lot of really fun things are coming up. let's see. With that, we'll go ahead and get started with the official part of our talk today. So as I mentioned before, this is our monthly member meeting for July 19th. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look over the minutes from last month's member meeting, which I believe Theo presided over because I was at the Green Bank Star Quest Star Party, which we unfortunately had 5 straight days of cloudy nights. But there was a lot of really cool talks and things like that, and met a lot of really fun people again, like Bob here. So does anybody have any questions about anything that went on with the member meeting or any of the board meeting materials with the club? All right, fair enough. Theo, can we get a treasurer's report?
Yeah, we have a little bit of money in the bank. The total bank balance right now is 97,6304. Give this the buds, it gets tempted. Quite fast, yeah. And we've got 30307 in PayPal. So we haven't done a whole lot last month. I'm gonna hit the mailbox up after the meeting and see what's in there, but you know, we did receive a refund for the night that we were out of power here from the Girl Scouts. And renewed our mailbox, which is good, to pay the astronomical league dues. And thank you much to Keith if he's online for doing the updated member list. So otherwise, you know, social media just kind of bumps along. We've got 320 odd followers on Twitter and 2,000 odd people on Facebook that like us, and it's just always fun to see what gets people responding on Facebook, especially when you put it up. So, and thank you, Chip, for chiming in on that. The more people we have, because I am not a social media person. I can go for 2 weeks and not look at Facebook, and I go, shoot, I need to put something up there. So I'm more than cheerful for other folks to do that. Anyway, that's about it. If you have any strong ideas, or if somebody has, I had a pair last time, I don't think I brought them this time. I think we bought 3,000 pair of glasses for the last eclipse, and we sold a lot. And we made money. And anybody who sells the glasses will make money. You cannot lose money in this stuff. And there's not yet been an eclipse for which too many solar glasses were made, right? The week before, people are looking for them like crazy. So anyway, hopefully we'll get some for the club. The last time they were just blue and had a club logo in the 2 corners, a little moon and stars in the middle. So if anybody's really clever with design, I'm happy to entertain, you know, what should our glasses look like this time?
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for taking care of all that. Keith, did you make it on Zoom today? I didn't think I saw you in the list. I took a peek at our Night Sky Network. I think we're at 153 members after Keith went through and checked memberships. And I think that if we hadn't heard from you for like 2 years, and that includes dues, I think that you may have been removed from the list. If you think that was you, check on Night Sky Network and see if you're still affiliated, and if you were removed by mistake, or you're like, yeah, I haven't been on for a while. Let us know and we can get you back up and going. Let's see, one of the perks of membership, right, if we have any potential members here or guests or new members, we do have loaner equipment available. I'm currently the equipment guy, currently horribly busy, and I apologize, but I do my best to kind of keep up with our telescopes. We do have a few that are available for loaning now. The list is out on Google Groups, and I need to refresh and repost that so it doesn't get lost in the Google Group list or the comments. And if you do have a scope, let us know if you're still using it. Let us know if you have any questions on it. Let us know what you're doing with it, right? Check in and say, hey, yeah, I've gotten really good with this one. I've gone out to, dark sky parties, or, if you've gone out to any of these public star parties that we have, let us know, because we'd like to know your endeavors, because some of us don't get out very often. And I like to live vicariously through my fellow friends. And of most importance, let us know if there's anything we can help with. Because one of the things about telescopes is they can be fickle, right? And some of them have a little bit of a learning curve, some more so than others. And we have a wide range of experiences here that we can help get people in the right direction. So feel free to reach out to us with any equipment needs. For those of you that are new here or guests or new members, there's a bunch of places you can find us on the internet, our website, bsasnashville.com. This is a nifty screenshot from yesterday, where you can see Wednesday and Thursday on the bottom of that clear sky chart, which is fantastic. It just gives you a real quick view of, do I need to lug my equipment out tonight? The darker, the better. So you could see last night, or tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, we're kind of running in the pattern of kind of bright. So probably not the best. However, kind of looks like there might be some sky out there, but we've had some haze from the fires recently, so that might still be affecting things going on. On the website, you can find information on upcoming star parties and upcoming member events. We also have a link to our nifty BSAS poster that we had printed, hatch print, and they made a special little stencil for us. So it's pretty cool, especially if you collect those. And so we're part of history of our club. You can find us on Facebook. As Theo mentioned, she helps run the thing. Chip's now posting. I think I have access to post, but I just post weird, funny memes on my pages. I think those, fly over too much, or pictures of my kids. But there's some really cool content that gets put up there. We'll have upcoming events showing up, like star parties coming through, member meetings will get posted, and then, things like down here, where's it at? There it is. Like an event on the Night Sky Network itself. And that was actually last night. They held an event on Europa and the special mission that they're running to it. And so Night Sky Network, I'll talk about in a second, is really cool because it helps with a lot of outreach and just general astronomy things for the lay person. So really cool event. And so you can find that stuff on Facebook. We also post random things on Twitter. Here, brown dwarf, just 5 times hotter than coffee. Right. And so one of the fun websites that I follow is, what is it? Something about Americans using anything but true measurements for things. Right. So here we have 5 times hotter than.
Got famous for this asteroid is 5 giraffes longer. It's weird stuff.
But I guess that's the question, where you're eating your coffee, right? So I guess that's maybe, right? Yeah. So that change it. But so we're BSAS Nashville on Twitter. And thank you to Steve Hughes for helping keep our Instagram page, let's say, renewed Instagram page. And so we're currently posting things again. So that's fantastic. He's posting some images for members. I know he's got a few on here. If you're into astrophotography or dabble, right, and would like to have your image up on our Instagram page, let us know. You can send us an email at info@bsasnashville.com or send it through the Google groups, and just let us know if you'd like us to put it on there, and we'd be happy to share some of the stuff that you're doing. So it's going to turn into a collection of essential artwork that our group can kind of be proud of, right? So that's a new thing that's up and coming. The Google group is a really nice perk as well, because it gives us an outlet to chat with fellow enthusiasts. Hey, does anybody want to go out tonight, kind of thing? Does anybody go into the dark sky site because it's kind of creepy out there alone? Does anybody know star parties are canceled or things like that, right? It's also a good place to share photos, share experiences and things. And so if you're a member and you don't have access to this, let us know, shoot us an email at the wonderful info at bsasnational.com website. Yeah.
Site near here.
Our darkest sky site is off the Natchez Trace Parkway down in Water Valley.
Go to Pickett. This weekend.
That's the other closest.
Yeah, I saw that was you said that a bit easier to go.
Yeah, well, let me just say that dark sky is relative,
Okay.
right? So compared to Nashville, it's darker, right?
We just had to go back when the moon set at 7:48, and but then it was so hazy we couldn't see. So we're gonna try again.
We're hoping to have a weekend up there. I talked to the ranger up there about a week ago.
Yeah.
I haven't checked again to see if he's gotten it put up on the website yet, but I'm probably gonna post to the BSAS, the Google group, so that everybody can harass the ranger up there to get it put up. But the deal is that the park has a group camp. And this might be the last year we get to use it, just because the park is thinking about doing other things, or I shouldn't say the park is, State Parks is thinking about it. I'm gonna throw some words their general direction also. But we have a weekend, like a Friday night, Saturdays, and then we move on Sunday type of thing, where we've got the group camp to ourselves. It has a field that's ridiculous, and it's like north of the park proper. So on a good night, it's really stinking good up there. The group camp has bunk houses, and honestly, there have been not that many people at the last few. Of course, we got interrupted by COVID, but like we had, each bunkhouse has like 2 wings, and you could have a wing to yourself.
And hot showers.
And hot showers.
And there's a kitchen to cook. Yeah. So,
It's a really nice feel most of the night, but you know, it's nice to have the hot shower, and it has like a room, big giant meeting room and kitchen. The kitchen is a commercial kitchen. It's to die for. You could feed half of, 100 people, 200 people out of that without any trouble. But they have in past years gotten Cumberland Mountain, which is like on the other side of 40, but they will cater to Pickett, and they've brought a dinner up, and they make really, really good banana pudding. So I can recommend that. So anyway, I didn't bother him because he needs to post it so we can all say, yes, we want to come, and we can have a little bit of fun. And of course, hopefully you found out the hiking is fun. There's a lot of good fun hikes up there. There's waterfalls, there's cool stuff.
not to mention that Pickett is literally right across the street from Big Southport. So,
They have had, I've camped there a lot, and I've just taken the van up and I just sleep in the back of the van, but apparently there's some bears that have gotten a little clever. They had to remove one this summer for learning to open car doors. And, yeah, and I think one broke a car window because the donuts were on the front seat. So if you do go up there, hide the food. But I've never had a problem. I've never even seen a bear up there, but
We saw them when we were driving, just running like through somebody's yard or mid on the road.
so they're talking about going back to having bear boxes for food. You can, have someplace to stash your stuff. They had them years before, and people abused them and put trash into them. And then, like, the park people wouldn't open it up for a couple of months. Well, you can imagine if somebody's used lunch was in there for a couple, anyways, they took them out, but they might have to go back. But anyway, it's a beautiful park, and they have an astronomy field alongside the road that has power that you can use anytime, really.
you have to deal with cars,
Yeah.
but it's still a good site.
Wheelers.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Don't get me going on that.
Now, if you haven't been out to Pickett, it's a fantastic place to go. In fact, more people out there may try and sway the state's mind of potentially changing that park.
I think what they want, they're thinking about just making more campsites up there.
Yeah, they're trying to take out the group part, I
Yeah.
think, and turning it into campsites. So,
Which, maybe I can sort of understand, but I don't think they understand what a rare and special place that is. It is literally the nearest thing to a good sky in Tennessee. And I've done a lot of talks the last few months on dark skies, and people are shocked to find out that there is no such thing as a natural sky anywhere in Tennessee. Oh, it's dark out of my house, Joel. No, it's not. It's just not. But Pickett's as good as it gets. And then there's some bottomlands along the Tennessee River that are good, but they're bean fields. We can't go there.
But there's what?
They're bean fields. You know, there's some fields along the river when you get down to Savannah in that area that are pretty dark, but there's no, public access. So between, Big South Fork, Pickett, Land Between the Lakes has some spots that are pretty good. I haven't been up there for a while to see if they've improved their lighting, because they had a lot of, street lights.
Yeah. We'll keep everybody posted. I think the dates that we were kind of shooting around were the middle weekend in September, like the
Yeah,
13th through 15th or something. I can't remember. But we'll find out more information coming up because holy cow, it's middle of July already.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get more information. So stay tuned on that. But if you can go, highly recommend it. Two of my favorite things, astronomy and banana pudding. Wrong. Just as mentioned before, Night Sky Network is a pretty valuable resource, and that's how we run our club. So if you're not a member and would like to be, feel free to sign up for Night Sky Network and then navigate to our site where it says be a member or become a member, and they'll give you PayPal and a list of perks and things like that. There are a few things that Night Sky Network provides. It allows us to manage the club and then get information out to you guys as well. In terms of scheduling, we're trying to become more active with it, and Chip is helping out quite a bit with that, trying to get calendar involved, directions and things like that. So you can just click a link. It shows you where the star party's at, kind of thing like that. So we're trying to get a little bit more, technical with that, right? We're also finding things where RSVPs are capable. So so it gives us an idea if you're going to come with a telescope to a star party, right? Let us know so we know that we can have people on hand to show the public. Okay? Couple things on Night Sky Network, right? We use it to manage our club, but it's actually a really good resource for astronomical events and things like that. This is the featured featured article as of yesterday, the super blue sturgeon moon of August 2023. Just kind of buying into that hype, right? We could break that down. Super because it's apparently a little bit bigger, but it's not technically the super moon, they don't call it that. But blue moon is anytime you get two full moons in a month, right? Because it's on a 29.5-day cycle. And so I think the next one won't be until 2025. I can't remember. So it's a rare event. That's why the whole saying once in a blue moon kind of comes around, right? And then the sturgeon moon, apparently the August full moon, because of sturgeon spawning in one of the Great Lakes. So kind of fun to know the history of that. Also on the Night Sky Network, they have some really cool resources for observing and general outreach. And you can get on there and see what's in the sky, various dates throughout the month. And they also have the map on the right that they always have available for you guys or for free. And so you can just make a PDF of that and print it out so you can kind of get an idea of your night sky if you do get a chance to go out and observe. Okay? Let's see. It's been a while since I've seen you, but since the last member meeting, we had a few things going on. On the 24th, we had public star parties because we double booked somehow. But both events turned out to be fairly well attended. One was at Bowie Nature Park. The other was at Cornelia Fort. So we had a double dose, and I believe that there were about 5 scopes at each. And so we had a lot of really good people. So as people are recovering from the pandemic life, we're starting to see more of the public getting out and about. And so it's really exciting to share, what we love with the our fellow public. July 15th, there was a private star party scheduled out at the Water Valley Overlook. I don't know if anybody went. I didn't see anybody posting on Google Groups or anything like that. I think it might have been cloudy. Regardless. So that event happened, but once a month we try and do a private star party where we encourage members to come out to our darker accessible sites out on the Natchez Trace to view things. Upcoming member events. So Saturday, the 22nd, a couple days from now. My watch says it's Tuesday. That's not good. The beta on Apple watches, right? So I want to be the newest in technology, but then that's always beta. So anyways, little bugs. On this Saturday coming up, we're at Bowie again. That's out in Fairview, Tennessee, from 9 to 11, I believe. Sunset's right around 8. So if you wanted to get up and set up early and still be able to see your equipment, plan on getting there somewhere around that 8 o'clock time. It's a pretty good event. On August 12th is our next private star party, and that's the Natchez Trace at 4:35, which is a little pull off, maybe a mile or 2 miles after the bridge coming from Nashville, after the big double bridge, and it'll be on your left. It's a little pull around area. The skies are all right. It's not the dark sky from Water Valley, but it's still definitely darker than what we'd have, say, right here. Okay. Next member meeting is the 16th. And we'll try and do it in person again with Zoom access like we're doing now. We are streaming on YouTube. And so as long as I remember to hit that YouTube button, we are good to go. So, but the Zoom will probably always be there for now on. And then before, or I guess right after the next meeting, we do have another public star party, and I just kind of wanted to put that on there because Edwin Warner Park does a really good job with these star parties, and they're fairly highly publicized. And so if you can put it on your calendar now, like, hey, I want to go to this one, probably be a good one to go to. So we have those things coming up. Yeah.
I would say 30.
Well, because I copied and pasted and didn't edit. Thanks. Not in Fairview. Yeah, no, maybe that's what happened this last time. Maybe it was me. So we have some cool upcoming events. Things in the night sky that are coming up. We're in the middle of July, right? So we already kind of passed the 18th, right? Next thing is Mercury and Regulus kind of being close. Mercury has some highlights on here. In August, you see Mercury and Mars kind of paired up together on the 18th. Waxing crescent moon, Mercury and Mars. So they're kind of close in the sky. So if you haven't seen Mercury or would like a chance to increase your probability of seeing Mercury, it's really good whenever there's a nice marker next to it, right? And so this is from Stellarium's website. So you can actually use Stellarium on the web without having to go through their software, which slowed my computer down for some reason. But on the left, where you see Regulus on the left there with Mercury, Mars is up in the upper left corner and Venus is down the bottom. So that might be a kind of a cool picture to pick up. But if you can find Regulus there and the sun, as the sun's setting, you probably have a good chance of seeing Mercury there. And then in August on the 9th, there's Mercury and Mars. And it's actually closer than what you'd think, right? Because the way I had to crop the image to get it in here, but should give us, again, opportunities to see Mercury, which can be kind of difficult. So some things to plan for over the next coming month. All right. I think that's all I have for today. We shifted Bob to the front to kind of be respectful of time. So I think that's kind of all we got. Are there any questions from anybody in regards to what we saw here or anything about the club?
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
This is Chuck Schlimm.
Hi, Chuck.
Just wanted to let everybody know I'm going to try to do the full moon picking party at Percy Warner Park on Friday night from 6 to 10. Tony Proctor and I did that last month. And although I had to cover my telescope to keep the rain that fell on us off, about 15 minutes later, I had the scope uncovered and was showing sunspots on the sun. So it can change really fast. And then the two of us were showing Venus and Mars the rest of the evening. So we'll probably be there Friday night. But if anybody else would like to come out, the only difficulty there is if you want to come out to observe, you got to get there before 5 o'clock to get onto the field, because they close it and then reopen at 6 o'clock to let the guests come onto the field. So if anybody wants to come out, just let me know.
What, Chuck? It's Friday and Saturday night this week, right?
Yeah, it is, Tony. It is Friday and Saturday. I'm going to be out at Bowie on Saturday.
Well, I'm not gonna go if I'm the only one, because I've done that before, and that's insane.
They said
That's
that's
a lot of people.
That's at Percy.
Percy Warner at the Equestrian Center.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I've been out there yet, so that's why I was asking. So,
I think they limit the concert to about 2,000 people. And so Tony and I are down in the bottom corner of the field, and the people are putting out their blankets within 6 feet of us by the time it's filled up. So, I mean, there's lots and lots of people. And on a nice clear night, we'll easily have a couple hundred people come down and look through the scopes.
Now, Channel 4 is forecasting cloudy and rain for Friday, and clear for Saturday.
Yeah, that's what it was looking. I saw that too.
well, Tony, if you don't go, who's gonna pick?
I'm gonna do it. I'm straight up with that. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have 40 people on the line.
Yeah, Well,
And lots of kids.
that's cool. Well, make sure you've posted. Have you posted on the Google group? Trying to remember
I don't think for this one, but I have sent pictures before.
Okay, well, we'll send out a blast to people and let people know and see if anybody's interested in helping out with that. So sounds like a pretty cool event. So
It is. It's a lot of fun. Really.
yeah.
Lots of food trucks, free sodas. All the sodas you drink, the first 3 beers are free, I think. So it's usually about 9 o'clock, the crowd tends to change. And get a little more
Loose.
loose. Yeah, that's good.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and finish off tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and everybody on Zoom, thank you for attending. Hopefully we'll catch you guys out at the Star Party or see you guys at the next meeting. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Well,
I'll take one. Also, feel free to pick up a solar observing card from over there on the table. Hi.
I don't know how I found this either. Meet up for Facebook.
Oh, fun.
Because I know I've I was on Facebook for like 5 years. I just got back on
Oh, well.
Facebook. So I'm glad because but how do I like if I put my email there, can I get more information about things, or how do we remember what the
if you search, go to a website like BSASnashville.com, right? And just go there. And there should be like our email address is literally info@bsasnashville.com. And it'll send that and it'll go to all of us. Yeah, so those of us that are running it, then we'll kind of get you pointed out. But on the actual website itself, there's a link that says become a member, and it'll tell you to go through Night Sky Network. And so you'll create an account there, and then you'll go through PayPal your dues, and then our membership guy will.
and then I'll get all the info.
Then you'll get, you can get the info regardless, but
I used to start for a little, and it's like so. I love it so much, and then I don't hear about anything wrong on Facebook. So I was like, I'm more.
You were doing really good, and COVID really not a lot of things like a black stuff. I have two kids. The girl is born at, she'll be 5 over, and we have a little guy in distance. So, yeah, yeah.
Danny, 4.5 years.
Oh, nice.
You know, yeah, it's wonderful.
It takes a special person to be a nanny.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that out there.
It's gonna be a mom.
Yeah, have a great day. Yeah, and feel free to send us an email. Take care.
I've been to a couple of the meetings and a couple of the start.
Oh, cool.
I haven't joined officially yet. I'll go and do it tomorrow or something finally. But I had a question about like the dark sky sites that you guys kind of like frequent.
Yeah,
Because I was just looking on the light pollution map and I
Yeah.
found a Boreal 3. And so on Sunday, I just rode my bike out there to go scout it out. And it seemed kind of, the residents around there seemed kind of sketchy and stuff, but there weren't any like, I was hoping to find like a park or something.
where is it at?
It was north of Only.
Know where that's at?
Is. Nashville.
It's out there, huh?
Yeah, and so there was just like some sparse housing. A
So,
lot of it was sketchy, some of it were nice big estates, they're all gated off and stuff. But
yeah, so we have access to the Natchez price and finance. Federal. So there's 2 places on there that, if you have a permit, they make the buy. Show them. They should look. I don't know what our portal number is. I mean, it's not gonna be picky, right? But it's definitely darker.
yeah,
So, it's about an hour from here.
okay, yeah, this was like an hour down the 40. I went the back roads going there,
Yeah.
which was 2 hours, but coming back, it was just like an hour.
Yeah.
Back. in Nashville.
Yeah, but, so once you become a member.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, usually post. Water's out there.
All right, cool, that's how that works. All right,
Yeah.
All right, cool, appreciate it.
Good. What's your name?
I'm here.
Javier.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
God,
Yeah.
just a cute spot. I mean, it's
Yeah, so the first one is, yeah, it's closer to town, but it's not the one right on the other side, Double Ridge. There's a little pool from Nashville towards down towards Mississippi. But it's a little pool out there. It's, like I said, it's not as dark. The sky isn't, I don't think the view of the sky is as good. But you still get a good, but yeah, water.
Yeah, I just moved into Nashville. We were living in Columbia, south of Garrett, and that I didn't know how good I had it there. So we came here and I looked up in the sky. I'm like, I can't really see anything. Didn't align my scope. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. What I love is getting to the places that's beautiful skies and you can't align your scope because you can't figure out which one's.
That's right. So bright.
Yeah, those are the good ones that we all. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you again. If you have any questions about it, just email it.
Okay.
Good deal. Well, pleasure meeting you. Hi, long time no see.
I know.
What have you been up to?
Well,
Oh, yeah?
I'm moving on
Oh,
to South Carolina,
oh,
and I have the club scope in my car.
okay. Well, we can go do that if you want.
Yeah.
Observing.
That is my first,
Problem is, the last semester was, what it says, this fucking rain.
You're trying to.
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I have trouble hearing.
Yeah.
You saying about.
Oh, yeah.
these.
These are solar viewers.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, so
Just like glasses.
yeah, they're just like glasses, but you can hold them up.
Okay.
They have a little lanyard hole, so you
Okay.
can potentially clip them on here, so you wouldn't lose them.
Yeah.
Right. Good for, just taking a quick look. And a lot of people, as I was mentioning, don't realize that you can just go out anytime.
Yeah.
Look at the sun, right? And so that's why I
I
said,
had some welder's glasses that I used to just
Yeah.
take out.
yeah, but the
Where are
the
these
astronomy of
available?
South Pacific. Well, you can grab a few over there, but they offer on here. There's their web address, and I actually got on there, and I think it was actually through. It might have been through Night Sky Network, and they basically said, "Hey, we'll send you some for free. Let us know how many you want." And so, if you are like with an organization and want to get some, just let them know how many you need. These, they said that there was a back order, but I mean, these came within 2 weeks. So
Okay.
I didn't expect them to come in, but yeah, feel free to grab a couple.
All right, I'll do
yeah.
that. And the lanyard hole, is that what you all were talking about the hole?
Yeah,
I couldn't gather, and I said,
Yeah.
are they talking about a pinhole?
yeah, no,
Reflector or indirect viewer, or, and
yeah, no.
okay, so that's the hole.
yeah, for the land. Yeah.
Okay.
That work? You want
Yeah.
a couple? I know you do some outreach and stuff too, so.
I'm teaching an astronomy class for my scout merit badge.
Yeah.
And then, I meant to mention it, I'll do it next month. I'm doing an outreach thing that's maybe a good opportunity for us. In September 9, I'm going to give a presentation for a program that they call Powderhorn. That the Middle Tennessee Council is doing. And it's to put together a whole bunch of people and teach scout leaders and scouts about resources that are available.
Oh, cool.
And so I always help them with their summer camp program, and they call me and say, "Oh, Frank, can you do a presentation on resources available in astronomy?" I says, "Well, yeah, sure."
Heck yeah.
And so I'm going to also have a star party.
Oh, cool.
It's September 9th.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give them a list of websites and books.
Oh, cool.
And organizations, including us
That's awesome.
and some of the other astronomy clubs. And this will be great because this is a perfect thing to. show
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
a
exactly.
safe way of viewing the sun.
Yeah. And like I said, I literally went out on so we have skylights in our living room,
Okay,
and I literally just went
cool.
and looked at so I'm observing the sun from the inside of my house. How cool is that?
I
Right.
used to keep some at work, and at lunch break, there'll be, particularly when there were some sunspots.
Yeah.
You want to look at sunspots. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see
I
it.
said, here.
Yeah, especially whenever it's active. So that's
And,
always
of course, close to when 2017, when the eclipse was, like, any nice clear day.
Yeah.
You could go out there, knew this was appearing, and I tell them, well, you don't have to have an eclipse to see a spectacular thing. You can
Yeah.
actually see sunspots.
Yeah, that's the beauty.
It was always fun, when just like when people see the rings of Saturn. Wow, it
Yeah.
really does have.
Moons, Jupiter, rings of Saturn. Yeah.
And,
Those things stick out in your brain pretty good.
I got one other show and tell that I
Yeah.
should have.
Oh, fun. What is that?
That is my day pass for the Lowell Observatory. And the red one was for the day before.
Oh, cool. When'd you go?
I went, June 4th.
Oh, cool.
I had a 2-week trip on the Colorado River. All the way through the Grand Canyon.
How was that?
Oh. The experience of a lifetime.
Oh, that's great.
And every single night, we just camped out on the sandbar. And looked up, and it had been years since I've seen nothing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it was just, I mean,
Makes you realize how much we're missing here, doesn't it?
And I just had a great time. And we all met in Flagstaff. That's where the outfit had an orientation the day before, and then the next day took us to Mile Zero.
Yeah.
These, and then 2 weeks, 230 miles later,
Wow.
they picked us up. And so the night that we got picked up, we went to the observatory.
Yeah,
And they have programs starting at noon all the way up
Oh,
until
wow.
past midnight.
It's a,
And I realized
That's a
after
whole
we finished
adventure.
our river trip that I didn't have any appointments, any club meetings, any other commitments for a whole week. And I thought, just gonna rent a car, stay out there and try to do as much as I can. So I had an extra night
oh, that's
and
really
I
cool.
went back, except this time I spent half the day.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah. Imagine. I think it really took a whole day.
Yeah, oh, it is. Yeah. And of course, that's where Tomball discovered
Yeah,
Pluto.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of other stuff that's going on. I mean, they have programs all day long.
That's so cool.
And it was-
Yeah, like a little boy, you know? Yeah. Well, that's really cool, right? You get out there. That's really awesome.
I had a great time.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, it's great seeing you again.
Right, we'll see you. Yeah, I've missed the last 2 meetings.
Yeah. I wasn't here last week or last one because I was in West Virginia. So
Yeah, okay.
well, very cool. Well, have a good day.
See you.